Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Low Blood Sugar, and I am coming at you today with a video response to the gameplay that our very own Night Prowler put up of Dragon Age Origins. Before we actually get into that, I want you to just sit back and enjoy this cutscene. I sort of had to edit a little out for time reasons, but this is leading up to the final battle, so enjoy this, and I'll get back to you when the gameplay starts.
Before us stands the might of the Darkspawn Horde. Gaze upon them now, but fear them not. Today, we save Denerim. Today, we avenge the death of my brother King Kaelan. But most of all, today, we show the Grey Wardens that we remember and honor their sacrifice. For Ferelden! For the Grey Wardens!
Alright guys, the gameplay is getting ready to start. This is your first glimpse of my character, named creatively, might I add, Bob. And one thing if you notice with Prowler's gameplay, he has a mage, and I have a melee character. Specifically, I have built a tank, which is fairly interesting to play. I don't have the wide array of talents and powers that he has, but what I do have is a really high damage resistance and a whole lot of strength and a whole lot of hit points. And my character's tough to kill, which is exactly what I was going for. Most of my skills are obviously related directly to hand-to-hand combat. The skill set that I chose for my character was the sword and shield, and the reason being is that the sword and shield is really good for keeping you on your feet against the enemies. The two specializations I chose were Champion and Templar. Reason being, the two types of characters I was having trouble with, well, not two types, but the two things I was having trouble with, one were casters, so Templar takes care of that. The other type of situation where the enemies could get me was when I was surrounded by a big group, because the base skills of the sword and shield do not really offer a good way to knock down a bunch of enemies. Champion has a roar ability when fully upgraded, can knock down lower level enemies, which is extremely helpful. So that's the type of character I've built. And you see right here what I'm doing is I'm just running up and basically trying to get everything to attack me. And I also, the way my party's set up, I like to have myself as the main tank, and I also like to have another capable melee character that can run up and give me a hand. And I have Alistair in my party taking up that role. He also is a sword and shield character. The other two members of my party are Liliana and Morgan. Morgan is really good at putting out a lot of damage, and I actually gave her some modest healing abilities, which is nice when you get in a big battle, because she will heal me. You'll see periodically, you'll see the green numbers pop up on the screen there where she's healing me. And Liliana is really good at doing things like boosting your party, or say paralyzing enemies, things of that nature. She's a rogue, so that's where she excels. And you'll notice I don't really switch over and control them a lot. The reason is I've got a lot of combat tactics slots set up for him. Right there you just saw me do Holy Smite, which is really good against groups of enemies because it does have a chance to knock them down. It's a Templar ability. It also will take some mana away from spellcasters, and I know there wasn't really any spellcasters there. That Herlock General may have some mana, but he's resistant to it. Most of the high level enemies are, but it still does a decent amount of damage, and it does cover a fairly large area. And one thing you'll probably notice as you see my character fight, and this is why I love the sword and shield tree, is that even the ogres have a lot of trouble knocking me down. And one thing that I found out, I played a character that used dual weapons, and using the dual weapons he got knocked down a lot, and that could really be annoying because you'd be in the middle of combat and you'd be on the ground and you'd have 50 enemies sitting there hitting you. By the time you get up, half your health might be gone. This sword and shield, when fully upgraded, really makes a difference. You know, the ogre knocked me down there, but there's a lot of times their attacks would have knocked down another character and it was unable to knock me down, and that's really one of the strong suits of this character. And as a tank, you know, you don't really want to be on the ground. You want to have the ability to move around and stay in the middle of the fight. You don't want to be laying on the ground while you have some high level characters over there pounding on your mage and your rogue at the back of the battle. And right now I'm going ahead and fast forwarding through a little bit to show you basically the same, I guess, same thing Prowler showed in his gameplay. It may not be the exact same locations, but you see a big difference. And I of course soften them up a little bit. I use Holy Smite there, and as you can see, all those purple numbers jumped up, and a lot of enemies fell, and that's why it's a good ability. It gives you some range to deal with casters and enemies that may be away from your front lines. And here you'll see me use some of the abilities to knock the character down. You see that Genlock's already down, and I just pummeled him again, and he fell right back down. So it's really, as a one-on-one fighter, this type of character is really strong. And here I'll use the roar ability to knock a few of these enemies down. And that helps, of course, my party as well as me, because they're just swarming if you're not careful. And with my ability to knock a lot of these guys down, it can give you some time that's very valuable early on in the battle. Because a lot of times you'll have a high-level character or two, and you'll have a bunch of little minions, I guess you could call them, running around. And these guys are just annoying, and they make it extremely difficult to get and kill the guy that's really doing all the damage. And you can see right there again, I just knocked these guys to the ground, and that gives me time to close in and do some damage to them. And during that time, obviously, they're not attacking. And you'll see here, the key to playing this type of tank character is to get up and just get in the face of the enemy so that they concentrate on you. And that's why I like to have the two melee characters in this system, because a lot of times, even with all the combat tactics that you can use, sometimes the AI control of your party isn't always the most sound when it comes to making certain judgments. And they won't run away when they need to run away, and they'll just sit there and take a bunch of damage as a caster. So it's nice to have another guy up here that can keep the enemy occupied. And one thing though is that from what I've seen of Dragon Age 2 so far, the combat's going to be quite a bit different, so it should be interesting to see. I'm planning on playing a similar character to this one to start out. That's just what I've always liked to play in these type of games. I've played every single type of character almost, so this is still my favorite. I also really enjoyed the other warrior character I had that used the dual swords, and I just found that this character right here, Sword and Shield, there was just a tough character to kill. So thought I'd show you guys that just to see how it was a little different with this type of gameplay. And that's all I got for you. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you out there.